Oh, something bad just happened. Hold on. Okay, so components?
You'll have your flimsy little stereo microphone. You'll have to send people with RCA cables and any number of other adapters. So there's quite a bit involved in equipping people with recorders, and then with having them returned, missing pieces, missing even something as silly as one windsock, but gradually the collection of equipment is decimated, and then we're left with a recorder that's just a brick. It doesn't work at all. So we continue to experiment with different recorders, but at the end of the day, it's just a perpetual process of experimentation, purchasing new ones and looking for what is the most effective, what is the most intuitive, and there's never the perfect solution, but there's all kinds of problems.
Is it frustrating to see money go out that way?
It always is. It's important to have them though, so that's why we feel it's a legitimate purchase, and we can always explain to people who are responsible for our balance sheets, well, we bought this for this reason. It is relevant for our programmers and volunteers to be able to access it. But it is annoying to see so much money go, and in particular, the worst example, we actually purchased a second series of the MicroTrack, which lasted us about 3 months until it was just broken. And even in the time that we were using it, it had problems with the actual data writing. And so you would have audio files that would have huge gaps in them, or small gaps that were just annoying because it would be a syllable in a word that suddenly disappears, and how do you edit around that? So, that's annoying when you spend upwards of $300 on an item and it gives you maybe a couple of years of reliable service. It is a difficult environment for equipment to be used in, but at the end of the day, spending $300 isn't something that we can do every year.
How about the volunteers? Because they're learning on this, and some of them, they feel like the technology, it should be more, you have to teach on this stuff.
Yeah. So we've had some volunteers have a very hard time with the recorders, and we've had volunteers go out to do events and come back with nothing because they couldn't work with recorders. Part of that, I think we do have good training getting people ready, but at the end of the day, if you have a digital menu with 4 submenus and then further submenus within that, not everyone is going to be able to say, oh, what's TRS stand for? Of course, it brings sleeve. That's these 1/4-inch inputs versus this 1/8-inch input, and what's monitor on and off, and they won't necessarily have all the terminology down. They won't necessarily be able to decipher every single thing that the recorder throws their way. So yeah, finding something that is intuitive is important for that reason, because volunteers and programmers are excited about doing the recordings, and they do bring back good recordings, but you don't want a person to go out and come back feeling like it was a failure or it was a wasted effort.
So what do you think, would it make things a little bit easier if there was an app that interfaced to community radio, such as CHRY or the NCRA, and that was just really simple and that was accessible for cell phones?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because everyone is interested in contributing, but when you look at what we have at CHRY, not every computer has our editing software, not every computer has what are, more expensive software suites as well. And whether or not we have Sony, whether or not we have Adobe, it doesn't matter if we can only put it on 1 or 2 computers, and then we have to take care of a whole week's worth of programming on that. So if there is an opportunity for someone to use any computer and the opportunity for someone to do work at home and be able to react really quickly with staff here or other programmers here, it makes a world of difference in terms of how a person can access and contribute, again, relevant content and their own personal content. It would make a huge difference.
Do you think it would attract more volunteers, or name some of the things that you'd hope to get out of?
Yeah, it would attract more volunteers, more participation, and community members can contribute more audio. That's the ultimate, because it's even the hurdle of having someone take transit or drive. Either way, it's not easy just to get to a community radio sometimes, even though we're called community. When you're based on a campus, our campus isn't the most accessible. And those are hurdles that we have to deal with sometimes, and those are hurdles that our campus should deal with sometimes. But if that technology is more accessible, whether it's on mobile devices or computers at home, you name it, a person can really quickly make that content available and then have it be shared through the time-tested medium of radio, and it makes a big difference.